Hello and welcome to a Puzzled Panda video. Here are 100 facts about Disney's wartime films. This video will be a little different than normal. I have decided to group the next 6 films into 2 videos. During the war, Walt Disney decided to make package films. The first 3 films are Saludos Amigos, The Three Caballeros and Make Mine Music. Let's explore the background of these films. Upon the surprise attack of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, 500 United States Army troops moved in the next day to occupy Walt Disney Studios in Burbank. They moved in for the next 8 months. As America began a massive build-up to fight in World War II, the soldiers were stationed there to protect a nearby aircraft plant from enemy air raids.
The war turned our studio into a military reservation. All our facilities were devoted to making films for the war effort.
Walt Disney was approached with requests from the US services to produce propaganda films. During World War II, Disney made films for every branch of the United States Armed Forces and government. Over 90% of Disney employees were devoted to the production of training films for the government. Throughout the duration of the war, Disney produced over 400,000 feet of educational war films. This would be equal to 68 hours of continuous film. The Navy first requested 90,000 feet of film to be ready in 3 months. The purpose of these films was to educate sailors on navigation tactics. This was a big shock to Disney, as he was used to creating 27,000 feet of film in an entire year. During the war, so that Disney could continue releasing feature films, they released 6 package films. These films contained multiple sections, some animated and some live action. These were made to save up money until they could eventually go back to making single narrative feature films. Saludos Amigos was the first of the 6 package films produced by Walt Disney. It is set in Latin America. It is made up of 4 different segments. Donald Duck stars in 2 of them, and Goofy stars in 1. It also features the first appearance of Jose Carioca, the Brazilian parrot. Saludos Amigos premiered in Rio de Janeiro on August 24, 1942. At 42 minutes, it is Disney's shortest animated feature to date. It is the 6th animated feature film for Disney. It was made for an interesting reason. It was made as part of the Good Neighbor policy. The policy was to reinforce that America was a good neighbour to Latin American countries. Mickey Mouse and other Disney characters were popular in Latin America, and Walt Disney acted as an ambassador. This was being done because several Latin American governments had close ties with Nazi Germany, and the US government wanted to counteract those ties.
And they first wanted me to go on a handshaking goodwill tour, and I said, I don't go for it. I'm not a good handshaker and everything. And then they came back and said, well, you go down and make some films about these countries. I said, well, that's my business. I can do that.
Take a pencil in your hand.
That's right. Indeed. So I took a staff, and we set up headquarters in Rio. We also went and set up a studio in the Argentine. We went over to Chile, and some of my artists, we divided a party. Some of them went up through Peru. And when we came back, I made these 4 short subjects.
The CIAA took Disney and a group of 20 composers, artists and technicians from his studio to South America, mainly to Brazil and Argentina, but also to Chile and Peru. One of those people were Frank Thomas, one of the 9 old men. The film was given federal loan guarantees because the Disney studio was struggling with their recent films not being financially successful. In the first segment, American tourist Donald Duck visits Lake Titicaca and meets some of the locals. In one segment, American cowboy Goofy gets taken to Argentina to learn the ways of the people. One of Disney's 9 old men, Wolfgang Reitman, also known as Wooly, animated the scene of Goofy riding his horse in pursuit of an ostrich. Milt Kahl animated a section with Donald Duck and a llama in Peru. The llama shows a strong sense of weight and also shows incredible comedy. In the finale of the film, Jose shows Donald Duck around South America. This sequence is beautiful and it experiments with colour to create incredible visuals. Saludos Amigos was popular enough that Walt Disney decided to make another film about Latin America, The Three Caballeros. This is the second package film, and it was released in 1944. It is the 7th feature animation film from Disney. It is the first feature-length film to incorporate traditional animation with live action. The film's lead character is once again Donald Duck, who is again joined by Jose representing Brazil. The third bird is a rooster named Panchito Pistoles, who represents Mexico. The film contains the famous Disney song The Three Caballeros, which has been featured in Disney products many times since. This scene was animated by Walt Kimball, one of the 9 old men. Walt Kimball wanted to create a wacky and fun sequence. This was Walt Kimball's speciality.
I was given this long song that went on for 3.5, 4 minutes and no business. So I listened to the song for about a week. I turned all the lights out in the room and just listened to the song, and I visualized things. I said, there's nothing I can do except being literal about it. When they say we're 3 happy chappies with snappy serappies, all of a sudden the serappies appear. One of the first criticisms when the director saw the pencil test is, well, the duck goes out to the right and he comes in on the left. And the rooster goes out at the top and he comes in from the bottom. You can't do that. It's not logical. You have to have these tie-ups. You have to make sense. And I said, look, who cares? Guy runs on the left, comes in on the right. I mean, that gives it its flavor, its craziness.
As you just heard, the director had an issue with the sequence. Luckily, when Walt Disney saw the sequence, he had no objections and the scene remained the same. Walt Disney knew Ward's strengths as an animator, which is why he assigned him the task. The Three Caballeros has lived on in Disney pop culture. One of the scenes in Mickey Mouse Revue features Donald, Jose and Panchito in the show. The attraction was one of the 3 original opening day attractions in the Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland in 1971. The basic premise of the attraction shows Mickey Mouse conducting an orchestra made up of various Disney characters. Donald, Jose and Panchito perform the movie's theme song. When Tokyo Disney was picking attractions they would like at their park, they selected the Mickey Mouse Revue. Walt Disney World decided that instead of making a new version, they would simply move the attraction from Walt Disney World to Tokyo. So it closed in 1980 and was moved to Tokyo Disneyland for that park's opening in 1983. The animatronics of Donald, Jose and Panchito were put on display at D23's Destination D Walt Disney World 40th event. In 2015, the figures were redressed and placed into the finale of Epcot's Grand Fiesta Tour attraction. The Grand Fiesta Tour, starring the Three Caballeros, is a musical dark boat ride within the Mexico Pavilion at Epcot theme park. It was the first World Showcase attraction to feature Disney characters based on an existing property. The second was Frozen. The attraction begins with posters indicating that the Three Caballeros are to perform a concert that night. The Three Caballeros introduce themselves, only to find out that Donald Duck, the third member of the group, has run off, prompting Panchito and Jose to set off on a frantic search for their missing friend. They also appear in some of Disney's themed resorts, such as Disney Springs. They are also found at Disney's All-Star Music Resort, where a fountain depicting the trio is the centerpiece of the guitar-shaped Calypso pool. In 2001, Jose and Panchito appeared in the House of Mouse episode The Three Caballeros. I loved the House of Mouse growing up, and it was so exciting to see all of the Disney characters together in the same room. It was like Avengers Endgame, but for Disney fans, seeing team-ups of all the characters from different films. In the original movie, Panchito is often seen firing guns into the air and whooping, whilst Jose smokes cigars. For House of Mouse, the characters were toned down and don't smoke or shoot. In 2015, they also make an appearance in a Mickey Mouse episode as performers at Mickey's birthday. They appeared in Mickey and the Roadster Racers. They are former bandmates of Donald's who perform a concert with Daisy Duck after Donald is unable to take part. Along with many other Disney characters, Panchito, Jose and Donald appear in the updated It's a Small World ride at Disneyland during the section portraying Mexico. In 2018, a new television program called The Legend of the Three Caballeros was produced by Disney Interactive. It focuses on crazy adventures and was first released on the Disney Life app in the Philippines. It produced 13 episodes. The series was included as part of the launch of Disney+. The Three Caballeros have a role in the 2017 DuckTales reboot in the episode The Town Where Everyone Was Nice. The third package film during World War II is Make Mine Music, and it is the 8th feature animation by Disney. During the Second World War, much of Walt Disney's staff was drafted into the army, and those that remained were called upon by the US government to make training and propaganda films. Wolfgang Reitherman left the studio for a few years to fly for the United States Air Force and would not return until April 1947. As a result of artists being drafted into the army, the studio was littered with unfinished story ideas. Once again, this film is made up of various unrelated segments set to music. The film was entered into 1946 Cannes Film Festival. The most famous section of this film is Peter and the Wolf. It is based on the 1936 musical composition by Sergei Prokofiev. Prokofiev, while touring the West in 1938, visited Los Angeles to meet Walt Disney. He performed the piano version of Peter and the Wolf. Every character is represented musically by a different instrument. Walt Disney was very impressed and considered adding an animated version of Peter and the Wolf to Fantasia, which was to be released in 1940. Due to the war, these plans fell through, and it was not until 1946 that Disney released his version of Peter and the Wolf.
Now, I promised to tell you how this old piano literally played an important part in the birth of another of our animated films, Peter and the Wolf. One of the great modern composers, the late Sergei Prokofiev, played his musical fantasy for me on this very piano. Now, that was a long time ago, back in 1938.
Here's a room. I'm afraid it isn't much for piano, though. Don't worry, Walt, it'll do.
To make matters worse, Mr. Prokofiev spoke very little English, and of course, I spoke no Russian.
Eric Larsen, one of the 9 old men, had become an expert at animating birds. Larsen was cast as Peter's bird friend Sasha. This character's emotions were always strong and extreme. Ward Kimball animated the 3 hunters in the sequence. He animated extremely broad actions for the comedy. He shows that the hunters are harmless and confused characters. Ollie Johnston animated the part when Peter attempts to leave the house in pursuit of the wolf, but his grandpa drags him back inside to protect him. John Lounsbury was in charge of developing the wolf character. Although he is a cartoony character, like the rest of the animation, there is no doubt that he is a scary character. The wolf's close-ups show his bad intentions. A section of Peter and the Wolf is represented in Disneyland Paris on the storybook attraction. Another section of the film was called Two Silhouettes. The segment featured 2 rotoscoped live-action ballet dancers. The silhouettes move with animated backgrounds and characters. The final segment of the movie is a bittersweet story about a whale named Willie with incredible musical talent and his dreams of singing grand opera. Make Mine Music was initially released in theatres in 1946. Like many other package features of the 1940s, it was never given a wide theatrical reissue. Instead, its segments were separated and released as separate short films or used as segments in Disney television programs. Thank you for watching the video. If you've made it to the end, please like and leave a comment as it helps other people to see the video. In the next video, I'll discuss the next 3 package films released by Disney.